Welcome, ladies. So while they're getting settled, I just have a couple of questions. I want to see where we are in the room. How many of you feel financially prepared for your today? Raise your hand. Feel good about today? All right. How many of you feel financially prepared for retirement? Okay. Good. How many of you feel financially prepared to pass on your wealth? All right. So that's very good for us because that means we have some work to do. So we're happy to be here. So before we get started, I would love for our panelists to introduce themselves and to share with the ladies why this is important for you, for us to have this conversation.
Hey everyone, this is Cinneah El-Amin. I am a personal finance creator, speaker, and the founder of Flynanced, a personal finance platform that is dedicated to redistributing wealth back into the hands of you, professional Black women. I'm really on this journey to build wealth for myself, for my community, and for women that look like me, because I know that wealth gives us options. I come from a background of tech, financial services, and product management, and I'm based in New York.
Awesome.
And hello, everyone. Real quick, I would love to just recognize the energy and the sisterhood, and then just the overall excellence that's with us in this room this morning. It's really been a privilege to be amongst so many remarkable, successful women, and I do see some men in the audience, so it's been a really exciting week for me. My name is Sasha Heathman. I'm a workplace financial consultant with Fidelity, and my days are spent helping women like you to and through all of life's financial journey. So from starting out your career, through various life events like paying off debt, buying a house, putting children through college, all the way to retirement. So today, or why this topic is so important to not only me, but definitely to professional women, is because we're busy. Okay, we are very, very busy, and it's with those busy schedules that it's understandable that some things can kind of fall down our to-do list, like our money and what's happening with it. So today, I hope to provide you with some easy, actionable steps to help make sure that you're putting your money to work.
Awesome.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charmian Todd Boyd. I am so grateful to be here amongst this sisterhood of empowerment. I am with the Boyd Group at Morgan Stanley, and I would like to take a moment to recognize my Morgan Stanley sisterhood. It's been so great. Getting to know women in finance from all over. We even have at least one person from London here. It's just so great. And particularly, I'd like to ask my fellow Morgan Stanley financial advisors who are here just to stand up for a moment. Take a look. Yeah, so we're all here for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to approach. You see where we are. Please, please, please feel free to approach. This is what we do and what we enjoy. So why is this topic so important? Well, it all boils down, I think, to what we have been talking about all week, which is empowerment. Claiming our power, reclaiming our power, empowering ourselves, empowering our families, empowering our communities. And so it's so vitally important that we lean into finances, that topic that's often so taboo in our community, that we really lean into financial literacy, that we take hold of it and don't say, oh, I don't understand that we lean into that, because I really believe that despite all that goes on in society that tries to hold us down, that we have what we've been talking about. We have the personal power to change our personal trajectories. That's powerful. And we don't have to wait. We could start today, right? We have the personal power to change our trajectories today. And when we start with ourselves, we can work our way out. And when we make it a goal to put intention around money, right? When we make it a goal to say, or we take personal responsibility to say that I'm gonna do make a difference to close my own personal wealth gap. Then if we all did that, you remember Thashonda Brown Duckett saying that there's a compounding effect? Remember she talked about that? So good, right? And this morning, Nona Jones talked about the power to heal. Well, I believe we have the power to heal our community. We can close the wealth gap. With money, money is the great equalizer. It's the great equalizer. You close the wealth gap, you close the health gap, you close the education gap. It's just a trickle-down effect. But it all starts with us, personal power, me, you. Okay, so this is something that we need to do. We have a lot of work to do in our community, and waiting for someone else to do it is probably not going to happen. This is how we can start today.
Awesome. So I love that you mentioned the gap. So I have some data for you because I'm a data-driven person. According to Goldman Sachs Financial Futures 1 Million Black Women Generational Wealth National Survey, which Cinneah and I were a part of this survey. It was 1,200 black women. It says 28% of black women have over $50,000 in student loans versus 11% of US adults. Despite 84% of black women completing some college education, 50% report yearly household incomes of less than $75,000 versus 35% of US adults. And only 49% of black women own homes compared to 65% of US adults. And only 49% of black women have retirement savings compared to 61% of US adults. We have the second lowest average value of financial assets at $24,993 compared to $100,045 of all women. We have the lowest average value of total assets at $93,221 versus $251,856 of all women. And we have the second lowest average retirement wealth at $11,157 compared to $25,763 for all women. So as you all can see, we have some work to do. Our goal with this panel is to help you create strategies to maximize your corporate income and to build generational wealth. We want to help you leverage your salary so that you can make smart investments with your money so that it will outlast you. Does that make sense to everybody? Awesome. So starting with you, Cinneah, there are a million strategies to leverage when considering building generational wealth. What advice would you give to someone who may be getting started or who's afraid to get started because they're like, I'm just a hot mess and I don't even want to look at it?
Yes, thank you for that. It's pronounced Cinneah.
Cinneah.
Yes, no worries. So I love this question because I can personally relate to it. I'm not someone that comes from money. I didn't grow up knowing about investing or about wealth building strategies. And I didn't even start investing until 2017, which was my first year of working. Yet, if we fast forward to today, I have been able to grow my salary from $48,000 to well over $200,000 in 5 years and grow a multi-six-figure net worth, which means that I am going to retire a multimillionaire even if I stop investing today. And that is what I want for every single person in this room. So I can definitely relate to that fear, that unknowing, and sometimes that hesitation of wanting to start to get your money in a better place. So here are some strategies that have helped me that I believe can help you. I think number one, it's so important to know your why. Why do you want to improve your money situation? For some of us, maybe it is to buy a home. For others of us, maybe it is to retire early. I know that's me. I don't want to work a day past 40. I'm 29 right now. But also for me, it was like I wanted to have options. Oh, okay, I see.
Goals, right?
Goals. But I think my why was also I wanted to have options. I love to travel, and I didn't want finances to be a reason why I couldn't join my girlfriends on a trip to Cabo or why I couldn't see more of the world. So I think number one is so important to know your why Because let's be honest, this money game, it can be hard. I think what we're talking about here is counterculture. The idea of black women building wealth when we have historically been the property, been the assets under management, right? So I think what we're also talking about is so counterculture. It is narrative shifting. So that means it's gonna be difficult. Knowing your why is gonna propel you and keep you focused. I think number 2 is starting to have a game plan, assessing where you are financially, right? LaKesha, you talked about a quote around some of us carry debt, and that is impacting our ability to build wealth. When I sat down and thought of my own game plan, I first started with, well, I have no assets, so how can I start building some of those? But also, I realized that I had student loan debt that was eating at my ability to generate more wealth. So I really focused my attention back in those early days of my journey on how can I start to pay down some of this debt? How can I start to create a game plan so that I can put more of my salary to work and helping me reduce the amount of liabilities that I have? And then I think the third thing, which I love to talk about on Flynanced, is understanding your earning potential. Too many of us are working jobs that are too junior for our skills, and therefore we are not making the money that our skills, experience, and degrees are worth. Right? So I realized working in corporate America that I could be on a track to become a high earner, but there were some things that I had to do. I had to start playing the corporate game in a different way. And for me, that looked like job hopping. So I started job hopping every 1.5 to 2 years to help me grow my salary. And that is how I was able to put more disposable income away into my 401k, into savings, and helped me build a net worth. So those are some strategies that I think we can all use to really get that game plan underway.
Awesome, awesome.
What an amazing journey you've had.
Thank you,
sure.
Sasha.
And something that I'll add, so for some tips on where to start. So the first piece of advice is to give yourself grace. Like Cinneah was saying,
Yes.
building wealth, that it's not an overnight thing. And so give yourself grace. And then the other piece of advice is just a gentle reminder that building wealth, especially wealth that's going to span generations, right, it is going to take some time and some patience and some action. So specifically when we talk about building wealth, I actually have a mentor at Fidelity who once said that when life gets too comfortable, it's time to get uncomfortable to really unlock those new possibilities and those new outcomes. So to unlock some new wealth outcomes, some new generational outcomes, it's important to take the next step. So I too have 3 simple steps that you can start implementing now to really get that wealth journey building. So step number 1, just like Cinneah said, is what is your why? So start with, what do you need wealth to do for you? What do you need your money to do for you? And that's all about goal setting. What are your financial goals? Now, the other part of setting goals is we got to estimate how much do those goals cost. Because once we know how much they cost, then action step number 2 is we want to figure out where is the money going to come from to fund these goals. So step number 2 is where we want to evaluate cash flow, look at maximizing your salary. I know the word is budgeting. I promise budgeting is not a bad word. We're just maximizing your paycheck. Yeah. So action step number 1, what are your goals? What do they cost? Action step number 2, where are we going to find the money? And then finally, action step number 3 is let's make it happen and create a plan. And what making it happen, taking action, what that looks like is 2 things. Number 1, you're building up your wealth in the right types of accounts. And then inside of those accounts, you have the right investment vehicles and investment strategies to help that money grow. So those are my 3 tips to get started.
Love those.
Yeah, good tips. And I'd like to add, starting, it's kind of like, let's use the analogy of exercise, which maybe not the best analogy for me, but we all know we should be doing it, right? And getting started probably is like the hardest thing to do on any day. Yeah. But you know what? When it comes to this very serious thing of like, how do you fund your retirement? How do you do you want to leave a legacy? start right now. Just do it. Just do it. Like Nike says, just do it, right? You have to start now. A lot of people make the false assumption that they have to build a certain amount of money in their pots before they get started. It doesn't make sense, but a lot of people think, oh, I'll get started when I have this, X amount in my portfolio, in my accounts, or whatever. Start where you are now. I don't care how small that is. The wealth building is really about the habit, forming the habits, okay? Breaking some habits that, we really need to break. Talking about money with your children. Oh my goodness, we all heard, it is none of your business. I heard it, right? None of your business. Oh my goodness, we have got to normalize talking with our children about that. But back to getting started, start now. You don't have to wait. You can start like today. You can say, I'm putting $5, I'm putting $100. Put it away, lean into financial literacy and on all the different vehicles and things that you can do. Lean into knowledge, okay? Just another quick point, sometimes like with exercise, you think you can do it yourself, but think about if you have a personal trainer. Then you don't have to think about setting up your weights or what your exercise flow will be. And you could possibly get like better outcomes, and you'll have like a coach along the way. So, perhaps consider working with a professional to help you get to where you're going. Someone who understands, your job may be whatever it is at your company, but this is someone whose job it is to understand all of the things and hopefully to educate you as a client about what is going on. I'll say again that so Morgan Stanley has great tools. E-Trade, for instance, you can get on and just find all of this information about what's a stock, what's a bond, how do you get started. So we need to, again, lean in and start today. Don't delay.
Those are some great tips, right? But I feel it in my spirit. There's someone sitting here saying, I hear what you all are saying, but I can't afford to get started. So Sasha, what advice do you have for people who are saying, like, I just don't make enough money to start saving and investing and putting my money to work?
Well, number one, you're not alone. It is definitely a common statement that I hear in the appointments that I have with people every single day. And so my advice would be to, especially if you don't feel like you have the salary, even more reason, like Charmian was saying, to work with a professional. Because what we can do is take those bigger goals and help break them down into more manageable bite-sized pieces that do fit your salary, no matter what it is. Which, surprisingly, my Fidelity Women Investors team, which real quick, shout out to my Fidelity sisters here in the audience. But what we found is, for women, the stress level when it comes to money is consistently high, no matter what their total household income is. But guess what was the leading contributor to decreasing that stress? Taking action, making deliberate choices and changes to really help make your overall financial well-being in a better piece. So what I would say is to start small, like Charmian was saying, $50, $100. Start small with what you feel like your paycheck can afford, and also caution yourself with trying to keep up with the Joneses of social media. Because it's really creating that plan that works for you, that solves your why, that brings you joy. That's really the motivation that we need to create this lasting wealth.
And I want to chime in just to give a few tips around for any of my ladies in the audience who just know, I need to earn more money, sis. There are a couple things that I would recommend that have helped me and my clients with Flynanced. I think one is really assessing are you in an organization or on a team where there are more opportunities for you to get economic growth? Some of us, unfortunately, have just worked in jobs where we've gotten all that we can we've gotten all that we can get, excuse my French, out of those roles. So not being afraid to assess what else is happening across the organization. Are there other individuals that maybe you worked with cross-functionally? Or we talk a lot in this weekend around sponsors and mentors. Where are those people across your organization, and are there opportunities for growth? I am also going to say to anyone in this room who has a master's degree, do you have a master's degree? Raise your hand if you have a master's degree. I want to see all of y'all working at senior management or higher, okay? If you have a master's degree, I do not want to see you working at the analyst level because you have too much experience for that level, right? Too many women that I work with personally are just simply working in roles where they're too junior, right? So you're never going to be able to save your way to wealth working in jobs where you're underpaid. I think my second thing that I want to leave you with is it is okay to initiate an external search. It is okay to look at other organizations in your industry, in your marketplace, to see what is the market paying for your skills. I know in my own experience, I've been able to grow my salary 20 to 30% just by going to a competitor company and essentially doing very similar work that I was doing in my previous companies. So don't be afraid to also stretch yourself, even outside of the organizations that you sit in today, to see where there also might be other opportunities to grow and get that salary you deserve.
Yeah, I love Cinneah's focus on, like, you need to do for yourself.
You got to earn more, period.
Earning more, because the short answer to that is, if you, frankly, you can't afford not to save, right? You have to. You got to start, right? And unfortunately, if you are not in a position where your salary is going to help you get to where you need to be, then that should probably be one of your goals, is to get to a salary that's going to put you in a position for that. So that's an extremely important point.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because sometimes change is scary, right? And so we stay in jobs, we stay in positions because we're comfortable, but if they're not serving us well and we're not on the path to reaching our goals, then you have to ask yourself, I think as Sasha said, do you need to become uncomfortable to get to a new level of comfort? Yeah. So ladies, now that we're getting started, we have some ideas to fund our goals, we're on the path, we're not scared anymore. What are some ways for us to build a diversified portfolio? Because most people think that it's just about investing in stocks or investing in the market, but Charmian, what are some other places that we can invest?
Okay, so first of all, before I answer that, or as part of answering that, I want you to know that your portfolio needs to be based on your goals. Don't compare your portfolio with anybody else's. What we practice, and what Sasha was saying, we practice goals-based wealth management. And what that simply means is that, if you're going to a financial advisor who's just want to know what your money is and just give me your money and let me invest it, well, how can you really do that? How can, a financial advisor just do that if they don't know anything about who you are, what your goals are, when you need money, when you want to retire? So it's all about whatever portfolio that you're put into need to be based on your unique financial goals and what you want for your life. So let's start that there. Needs to be goals-based. All right, so assuming that that is the case, there's so many ways to diversify. What I want to say about this is, because portfolios should be based on your particular circumstances, I'm not going to go into particular specifics about what that should look like. But there are many ways to diversify. What we tend to do, though, in our community is because we may not understand how markets work, and we don't know what to expect, we tend to stick with the things that we know. Cash, staying in cash, overuse of insurance. But what you should know, that there are many tools in the toolbox, okay? You use cash for a certain thing. You use that for an emergency fund, okay? Insurance is for, income replacement. Stocks and fixed income or bonds. Find out what those things are, right? Lean into that. We tend to be very conservative, but there are all kinds of asset classes. There's real estate, there's alternative investments, don't just shutter. Oh my God, what does that mean? I don't understand, I'm gonna shut down. Lean into understanding that. There are separately managed accounts. There are mutual funds. What does that mean, right? So there are many ways to diversify, but make sure that you are understanding. Don't get into situations where you're doing things that you don't understand, whether you're working with a professional or not. Please understand what it is that you're getting into. That's a reason why we don't get into it, but if you lean into the literacy portion of things and understanding, there's just too much information in this world at our fingertips, on our phone, someone that you can call, right? And platforms like E-Trade, if you're not able to work with a financial advisor, someone like me who you have a personal relationship, or the women in our audience, you can go on to platforms like E-Trade and get some information for yourself.
And just to build on to that, so something really resonated with me yesterday to Shunda when she talked about living her life like a diversified portfolio. Yeah. And just like you were saying, Charmian, it's about your why. So remember, Tashunda says she writes down what's important to her, and then she allocates resources accordingly. So now let's apply that to our financial life. Same concept. Start with your why. Remember, we said that. What's important to you? What are your financial goals? And then we need to assign your resources. Absolutely. So real quick, I love a good checklist. So I have 2 steps, small steps. I promised I would give them to you. 2 steps that you can take to start getting that written down. So when we're creating a diversified portfolio, again, what is the purpose? So what's our goal? The first decision that you will make is, again, what type of account makes sense for you to be building up your money in? So is that a retirement account? Is that a non-retirement account? Based on what your financial goals are and your time frame for when you need to accomplish them, that's really what's gonna guide us to the right answer. So decision number 1, what type of account? And then decision number 2 is, and as Charmian was saying, is what kind of investment vehicles are appropriate to put into those accounts to help your money grow to accomplish the wealth that you're trying to build. So investment vehicles can include individual stocks, individual bonds, real estate, mutual funds, a combination of all of the above. And again, working with a financial professional, we can help you create the right combination that makes sense for you, that also matches your comfort level with risk, right? Because with investing comes risk of gain, risk of loss. But we'll take that into consideration. So not only your comfort level with risk, but also your tax situation. Because the good news about building wealth is we have it. The downside about building wealth is the IRS wants some too. So those are my 2 steps. Those are 2 key decisions that you want to start making: what type of account, what kind of investment vehicles, and that's really going to help you create that diversification. Oh, okay, well, if you don't have anything to add, sorry.
Yes, you
just
take
came to
it
my
away.
mind, one last buzzword that I wanted to bring up was the concept of passive income. So that definitely comes up in my appointments a lot, and my follow-up question whenever someone says passive income is, what does passive income look like for you? What does it look like? Some examples of where passive income come from could be rental income from real estate, could be a side business that you do. It could be from your investment portfolio, right? Dividends and interest. But then also, recently, it could also come from social media influencing. So when you're thinking about passive income, the first task that I challenge you with is, what does passive income look like for you? Because once you know where you want it to come from, then we gotta assess how are we gonna get it. So, specifically real estate, starting a business, we gotta ask ourselves, do we have the capital and or the skill set to get those things started? And then additionally, what is our time commitment? right? What's our time commitment to keep those passive income sources creating the kind of passive income that we need? So I wanted to also throw out that concept of passive income. It's completely possible. Guess where we would put it? We would put it in our goal setting. If passive income is a goal, we got to estimate, hey, what kind of capital do we need? And we make it happen.
Awesome. Cinneah, Sasha talked a little bit about risk, and just thinking about where you have come from, where you started, how did you develop the mindset to take the risk that you've taken? Because I think that's one of the things that stops a lot of us, is that mindset of wanting to stay in that comfort zone. How did you get to that place of saying, I'm just gonna go for it?
Ooh, I love this question. Okay, so I will say that I have probably always been overly ambitious, like my whole entire life. So it was like, well, when it came to money and it came to career, I'm not gonna play small now, right? But you know, if I look back to where I was in my early 20s, I also realized that I needed therapy at that stage. I don't think I could have taken on the risks that I did, or really just even believed in myself, in my own wealth building journey, in my career journey, in my journey as a founder, had I not worked with a licensed professional, had I not invested in life coaching. We talk a lot about setting those goals, but when you are that first person in your family to do these things, when you are what I call us first generational wealth rebuilders, right? Because we had wealth, it was just taken from us, right? It comes with sometimes a lot of pressure. So I think for me, it was working on my mental health first, and then that allowed me to be able to really put into practice all the amazing tips that we've heard. And then another thing I will say is I just didn't want to struggle. So I think that also was a motivating factor. It was just like, no, girl, I can't, we're not going to do that. I can't struggle.
Yes.
I need to be on a plane somewhere. Like, how is that going to work? You know?
Yes, I love that. Because I do think that there is a level of internal work that we have to do to get to the place. Because building wealth is not just about the money that's in your account, but it's a mindset. So if you have a scarcity mindset, it's going to be hard for you to build wealth. You have to have an abundance mindset where you believe that there is enough for all of us, that you can collaborate, that you can work with a professional, and that they're not going to take advantage of you. But sometimes we're so fearful because of some stuff that we haven't worked through that stops us from getting to that level. So working with the professional, we need a financial professional to get to the level of wealth that we're talking about. What advice would you give to someone who's looking for a financial professional? Like, does it cost money? Like, what do we do? What questions do we ask?
I want to throw this to you too.
Okay. Yeah, that's, do your homework. Do your homework. I mean, just like you do with everything, hopefully. You need to, we as financial advisors, we can't tell you who our clients are, but you can ask your friends who do they work with. You can do that homework and you can go on. Make sure, please just make sure that you're dealing with a reputable firm or an independent company, reputable, right? That's so very important. And make sure that you, like I said before, you've got to understand. If you're working with a financial advisor and you're not understanding what's happened, that's not a good fit for you, right? A lot of what we do in our practice is we work with very high net worth people. We work with a range of people, like professionals of all walks, just like you here, and they are good at their jobs. But they're not invested in doing what we do on an everyday level. There's no way that you can know it all, right? So just understand that. But if you're working with a financial professional, they need to be helping to educate you. They need to explain things to you. You need to feel that confidence and that sense of trust. And if you don't, that probably is not the right fit for you. That is so essential. Thankfully, we work in our process. We have the ability to choose our clients. It's a mutual agreement. We want people who will accept our advice, who understand what we're doing, because we're putting out the effort to educate, right? And that should be the same for you as the client. Right? So you want to know, what is the service model? What's the service schedule? How do I get paid as a financial advisor? right? That's very important. Like, all of these very important questions we need to have answered. You need to have answered.
And just to add on to that, so definitely leverage your network, your friends, even your employer for some initial referrals for financial professionals. And then, working with a financial professional is a lot like shopping for a house, right? Maybe you can walk into the first house and fall in love and that's the one. But more than likely, you may need to walk into a few to get an idea of, okay, is this what I want? Because you're most likely going to be there for a while. Similar concept with a financial professional. Usually you're going to work with that same person or that team of financial professionals throughout your career and even through retirement. So interview. And just like interview multiple, and just like Charmian was saying, ask them questions, and to kind of piggyback and reiterate the questions that she brought up, definitely ask them, do they work in a fiduciary capacity? Yeah. And what fiduciary means is that they have an obligation to put your interests above their own financial interests. The second question to ask them would be, again, what's their ongoing model look like? How do they work with clients? So is this conversation we're having, is this a one-time thing? Do you reach out to me? Do I reach out to you? You want to ask, what does that relationship model look like on an ongoing basis? And then a third question, definitely, don't be afraid to ask, how are you compensated? And really what you're trying to get out of how are you compensated is, does that advisor have a different motive or a different incentive to steer you towards a certain investment product or not? So those are 3 questions to ask. And then, depending on what kind of financial professional or what kind of services that you need, that is really where costs are gonna vary. So ultimately, you want to make sure that the advisor that you choose, you both are on the same page about costs, roles, and that relationship. And then the last thing that I'll bring up is, when it comes to a financial professional, ultimately, you want to work with someone who gets you, who understands what's important to you, what are your values, what are your goals, who communicates in a way that is easy to understand for you, and someone who you trust.
Awesome. So we have time for a couple of questions. So if you have a question for one of our professionals, please come to the mic and state your name. And we have mics on both sides. So state your name and please ask your question directly.
Hello, I'm Rochelle Robinson. I own my own company. I retired from New York State. I wanted to not work after 40, and I started a business. So about that's going to take a moment for me to write. So you mentioned, Sasha, about the taxes and about the IRS. So what are some ways that we're not writing that large check in a couple weeks?
Exactly, and I just wrote mine. Taxes is definitely one of the biggest costs that people encounter when trying to build wealth. So that it's very important to pay attention. And so specifically to your question about being a small business owner, right? Ideally, you got to pay those quarterly payments. So, in order to stay off the IRS's list. So when it comes to taxes, pay attention periodically throughout the year rather than just now at tax time.
Right.
Because giving yourself that time to not only make changes, but then also make sure that those changes go into effect to help mitigate that tax situation. So when you're reviewing your tax situation, there's a few areas to look at. So number one is kind of project your income, right? So how much did you get a raise this year? Are you expecting a bonus? Are you expanding your business? Did you sell a business? Did your passive income kick in? So you want to get an idea of what is your income going to be, because then, right, you want to take some steps, either maybe contribute more to your retirement account. That's a pre-tax deduction. Consider a health savings account. And then also, there is a strategy you can use with your investment portfolios. It's a strategy called tax loss harvesting that can also help you mitigate taxable income. That last one is a more advanced strategy, so I highly encourage you work with your professional to better understand what that means. But there's definitely some steps you can take. And then really quickly, because I know we have some more questions, some other things to think about. So think about your income tax bracket changes or just tax changes. Additionally, if you are getting a refund or you're on track to still get a refund, maybe you look at some after-tax or some Roth contributions to start building up your tax-free wealth. And then additionally, charitable contributions. So, utilize your charitable soul to also get those tax deductions as well.
Can I add a really quick thing? So tax evasion, no, that's illegal, right? But tax management and tax planning is very much a strategy. It's a financial strategy, right? So you need to use it, right? And so there are things that you can do, as Sasha said, you can maximize your 401k to reduce your taxable income. There are things that a good financial advisor can really help you with. But the thing I wanted to add is that particularly as you grow in your positions and you are making more money, you're gonna have to pay to develop a team. You need a team that can guide you, and a good triad of that, a financial professional, a financial advisor, a good CPA, not just someone who does taxes, right? Just a good CPA and an attorney. And that group of people we should have open lines of communication and with them, and they should be able to work together as needs be. We do that with clients, other advisors all the time. And so it's very important that you understand that you need a team also.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you ladies very much for being here today and supporting us in our financial endeavors. So super quick question. My name is LaVie Jackson. I work for Toyota. I have a goal of doubling my retirement in 5 years. I just want to know, is that a lofty goal or is it possible?
Cinneah?
It's not lofty at all, but it is definitely going to take some work. Okay, so you definitely start by reviewing what is your contribution amount, right? So if you're under 50, this year you can contribute $23,000. And then if you're over 50, you can contribute a total of $30,500. So definitely, with the lofty goal of doubling the account, one sure way is definitely increasing your contribution. Definitely make sure you're taking full advantage of your employer match if you have it. Yeah. And then make sure you are taking on the appropriate type of investment risk with your investment strategy. So definitely, this would be a great time for you to give your 401k group, your team, a call and say, hey, this is what my goal is. Am I on track to do it? Definitely possible, but it is going to take some work.
Thank you.
Hello, Melissa Coe with Eli Lilly and Company. My question is, we've spent a lot of time at this conference talking about our personal board of directors and building a really strong network. You started to answer my question. I was going to ask about a financial board of directors or a financial team. So you mentioned a CPA, a lawyer. So I wondered if you could kind of expand on that. How do you go about kind of building that network and maintaining that network? Because I imagine that team also probably needs to work together as well to help ensure maximizing our financial success.
Great question. Yeah, so I'm going to just address the way that we do business. Each financial practitioner may work a little bit differently. And so it all goes back to the elementary, what we talked about, a plan. Okay, and so as a financial advisor, we're starting with your goals, all right? We start with your goals, we develop a plan, and we're able to tell you with the help of our tools and technology, are you on track to whatever your goals are? I want my retirement, I make $100,000 now, and in retirement, I don't want to pull back too much on my lifestyle. I want to maybe have $90,000 of spendable income. I want to buy a second house. I want to do whatever. Our tools can help us say whether you're on track or not. Start with a plan. As we work with our clients, you know, that's why it's not like a one-and-done experience when you work with a financial professional, because there is so much to do. Once we've gotten the plan and once we are reviewing the plan and all of that, what we aim to do is what we call button up our client. We will see that based on whatever your situation, you know, well, you need some tax and estate help. And so we will suggest that you do that. You know, you need to, we're financial advisors, we're not attorneys, we can't like write up your trust and estate documents, but this is something that we're gonna actively tell you that this is something you need to do. In fact, that's what we do with every single one of our reviews with our clients is make sure you have all your beneficiaries designated even for your outside accounts. And we're going down the list and making sure that we button you up on every specific area. If you are, depending on the complexity or whatever your situation is, do you have, you know, who does your taxes? You know, if you have like 5 homes and you're renting your homes and whatever, you may need to consider that triad of different professionals to work with. And so I hope that, you know, I hope that gives you a picture, but I think, you know, more than anyone, you know, I may be biased, it's the financial advisors who are driving that conversation, maybe less than, you know, your attorney or your CPA, just because we're seeing the broad picture and a good financial advisor is going to help to point you in the direction that you need for your particular circumstance.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question.
Hi, I'm Candy Whitson-Witcher. You guys began to kind of address this a little bit earlier about the psychological piece when it comes to money. And one of the things that I realized some years back, and thank the Lord for allowing me to overcome it, but coming from a place of lack, I had a scarcity mindset, and I had to overcome that in order for me to get to my financial goals. And so can you share with the women in this room that might be impacted by not money barriers, because I had started making money, but my mindset hadn't changed yet. So who doesn't have money barriers but has that psychological barriers that are preventing them from their money goals?
Cinneah.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would just add really quickly is I think it helps to build a community of like-minded women. There are women in this room right now who could be mentors in a sense of helping you see what is possible on your wealth building journey. I know for me, it was also really important for me to curate that digital community. So there are many Black women, content creators like me, who are posting about building their net worth, who are posting about real estate investing. Start to curate your feed as well with those Black women. And I'm happy to share those resources with anyone after this conversation if that would be helpful.
And one thing that I would like to add is, in addition to that, automation is going to be your friend. So especially when we're putting together a plan and we identify, hey, what are your goals? What do they cost? We need to allocate your resources. So some of your paycheck has to go here, here, here. Let's automate it so that it's not always in your face. And that can also help you be building your wealth in the background where it's not really so like in your face, and then you still have that same kind of mentality.
So we have time for 2 more questions, so one from each side, and we're going to answer quickly.
All right, I'll try to be brief. My name is Terry Walker. I have 3 grown children. I've put them all through school. Unfortunately, I also took out loans for my 401k to do so. I'm maxing out my 401k now, maxing out my IRA. I'm in my late 50s, and every time I look at that 401k balance or what I have in my bank account, I'm thinking, I don't have enough to retire. I've heard so many different variations of what's needed, 20 times your salary, 10 times your salary. What is the equation? And maybe that's a loaded question, but what is the equation? What should I be looking for at retirement?
I think the equation, if I will, is that you know, find a professional to work with because we have tools to help you. Like, I can't tell you what that is. I can't without actually looking at your complete financial picture. I can't just, that would be like, that would not be good of me to like tell you what that formula is. It's different for everyone. It's based upon your asset level, your, you know, what kind of liabilities you have, what you owe, what you own, how you're saving right now. It's based on a lot of things that and your goals, definitely your goals. When you want to retire, what you want that picture to look like, do you want to leave a legacy? We have tools to help with that. And so, you know, one of the best things that we do for our clients is we provide them a plan. They don't have to, it provides so much peace of mind, honestly, whether they're on track or not, just to have a written plan. Because what do they say? A plan that is, you know, if you don't have it written, it's just a hope and a dream, or whatever, you know, whatever they say about that. If you can, get a plan and work with a professional to find what your number is.
Awesome, thank you. Last question, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shantae Gordon. I'm with the Norfolk firm. Thank you so much for all the tips that you shared today. And just really quick, maybe a list of, for two parts of this question. First one being, what is the mix for a portfolio? Top 5 assets for a good, solid portfolio, securities, real estate, insurance, whatever it is, what's your top 5? And then what are 2 to 3 alternatives that maybe you don't talk about as often as we do, say real estate or stocks, that should also be considered in a really solid portfolio?
That's a hard one. So
It is very hard.
maybe if each of you can share two assets that they may not be thinking of.
Well, I will have to, real quick, what I'll say is what kind of assets that you put in your portfolio is really gonna tie back to what kind of capital do you have to be able to have those assets, right? So definitely with a small amount of money, that is exactly what those like mutual funds are for, right? And so my 2 things would be definitely have the right combination of stocks and bonds. Stocks is gonna maximize your growth, but also comes, right, with its risks of up and down. And then bonds or fixed income, that's really gonna help act as your buffer. So at least starting with stocks and bonds in the right combination.
Yeah, and I can't answer that question because I don't know about your specifics, and it's just not we get in dangerous territory when we start to think about it that way. Your mix, your asset allocation, your recipe is for you. And you know, if you start comparing it to your friends, that's not a good thing because their situation is different from yours. So again, make sure that you are allocated according to what your plan is, what your goals are when you need the things that you need from your plan.
All right. You know.
She described it eloquently. I can't really speak on that.
Okay, wonderful. So for our final remarks, if you ladies could just share one final piece of advice that you would like to leave our audience with, particularly around how do they maintain the wealth that they're building and then to pass it on to their next generation. What advice would you have for that? Let's start with you.
Yeah, my advice very quickly is abundance is our birthright.
Yes.
So I hope that you leave this conversation seeing that you not only have resources at your disposal, there are women in this room on this panel who want to see you win. So this idea of having to do it all alone is a myth. We can build collectively, one woman, one group at a time. So that's my hope for everyone here.
And I would say dare to get uncomfortable, right? Building wealth is going to come with its challenges, but you're not alone in figuring it out. That's exactly what a financial professional is here for. So definitely stop by our Fidelity Power Up Lounge. We have a booth in the sponsor venue area. You can not only grab a smoothie, but then also you can leave us your information, and one of our financial professionals, our planners, will give you a call and just start the conversation. Start the conversation and help you keep moving forward in your financial journey.
My best advice is start today. Start now. Do not put it off. lean into financial information. It is what we need. It is the force that we need to equalize our position in society. It's what we need for our families. It's what we need for ourselves, okay? Especially as Black women, we need this. We need this for ourselves. We need this for our family. This is something that we can do for ourselves, and we don't have to wait another day. We can start now. I just want to remind you about these cards that you're seeing. Like, get started. Have a plan.
So last question, how can our audience members connect with you? What is your preferred way to be connected? Because I know everyone's going to be rushing up to the stage after this is over, but we got to get to lunch. So how would you all prefer to be connected with?
I'm Flynanced across all channels, FLYNANCED.
Wonderful.
And then stop by our booth, leave us your contact information, and one of my colleagues, like me, can reach out to you and schedule that meeting.
Same, we have colleagues from Morgan Stanley here. I am the boy group at Morgan Stanley. I work with my husband, and please, whoever you feel comfortable connecting with across, whoever it is, just start.
Awesome. And thank you. Please give these ladies a round of applause.